Hey guys, now we're gonna work off of our underhook series, the leg hug series. Originally working the overhook series, and my opponent has longer legs, and I feel like it's difficult to control him with the overhook. And now we're switching over now to the underhook, and my opponent now is gonna give me a little different reaction to this position that we're working with the leg hug. And typically this reaction is more with short leg guys because they feel more comfortable squatting and staying low. And it's easier to take their forward foot off the floor, and this is why I like to use this position, and I'm going to show you how to set it up. So I'm showing everything from this sequence because I feel like this is the best way to drill it, because you get to drill everything together. So that's why I'm going to show you I keep starting this double pull ankle lock sequence. I'm going to be here with the Inacho here. I'm going to have the collar, I'm going to have the De La Riva. I pummel my leg over, getting my foot to his hip always to keep the distance. I was here, he could get to my head, he could come close to me, he could start passing. So it's important that I always keep distance on his forward hip. Now I get the sleeve, I go to the ankle lock position here. And now the leg drags me, he comes up, and now we're in the drill like before. I grab the collar, I punch his shoulder, I get the De La Riva. I break this grip, but I can't get his foot off the floor. So what I do is I underhook and I start looking for the leg hug position. But this time, when I go the leg hug, he puts his weight back. So what just happened? His weight's not on the forward leg anymore. So before when we were doing the leg hug attacks, all his weight was on the forward leg. So I couldn't take his bottom leg this forward leg off the floor. So before I come forward, all his weight's here. So I'm able to move his leg. When he puts his weight on the back leg, I have no control of his forward leg. So now, and look at his foot. When he puts his weight on his back leg, the angle of his foot's the opposite way. So for me to take his back, I need his foot this way. But now his foot's the other way. So what am I going to do here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up his leg off the floor. I'm going to take my hand and hook under his heel. I'm going to take my leg. I'm going to push it under his leg. I'm going to lift up his leg with my knee. So notice how I'm lifting up his leg. I use my knee on his leg to lift up his leg. And I'm using my feet on his body. I'm going to cup his heel here. I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to put it under his knee. Now I'm going to underhook his leg. And I'm going to end up in this position here. The kiss of the dragon position. Now to finish here, all I'm going to do is throw my hook in. I'm going to push his butt to my stomach, and I'm going to stretch his body. So before we were working the ankle lock when we got the weight to the back leg, now my opponent first gave me the weight on the forward leg, now he defended putting his weight to the back leg. But we don't have the overhook anymore, we have the ankle lock, we have the underhook now. So this is how I like to set up my next position, using the underhook to get to this kiss of the dragon position when they put their weight on the back leg. So I'm here, in De La Riva, throw my leg over, keeping the distance. I get the ankle lock position. And Inacho comes up with the leg drag, he's putting pressure on me. I get this grip, I break it. His weight's still on the forward leg, I feel like I can start taking his back with the leg hug. I couldn't take his weight off the forward leg initially. He's standing, he's putting pressure, he's here. I underhook. I start trying to face his toes this way, but he faces his toes the other way. So now I don't have control of his knee. His knee's opening this way now, instead of closing. So if I can't close his knee, all I'm going to do is use my knee here, lift his heel up, and now I go this way. Once I go here, I switch my hand from his leg here, I underhook the leg. Why do I underhook the leg? When I get here, I'm able to keep his leg elevated, and I'm able to keep pressure on his leg with my bicep, which is stronger than just using my hand. This isn't as a strong grip because I don't have control of his whole leg on my arm. When I'm like this, I have control. I'm able to use my bicep to put pressure on his leg. So this is a way stronger grip when you're playing this position, is to switch from this to this. Now I can put pressure on his foot down, and look how much pressure I can put on his knee. So now that I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this foot to lift up his hip. I'm going to pummel my leg in. So first he's here, I push away and I put pressure down to pummel in. Once I get these positioned here, I switch my bottom foot to the other hip. I lift up his body, I put his butt to my stomach. Once his weight's on my stomach, all I'm going to do is stretch him forward, and I can keep him. So notice guys, always when we're doing these positions, I'm altering his base and I'm paying attention to where his weight is. I'm not forcing the other position from before. If I was to force the other position before, I'd use a lot of energy and strength for a position that isn't there. So that's why it's very important how I'm always focused on the angle of his feet and where his weight distribution is. Because every place his weight distribution is where his pressure is going to be. And I take advantage of wherever his weight is and where it isn't. So we're here. I'm in De La Riva. Pommel. I get the ankle lock grip. Your MC comes on top. I get the foot on the armpit. I break the grip. I get the sleeve. I move my foot away. I underhook. I'm trying to, right now, in my mind, I'm trying to get his toes faced that way. But it's facing this way. If I was to pull here, it's going to be very hard because his knee's facing the other way. I can't bring his knee to my stomach. But what I can do now is lift up his leg with my knee. I lift my hips up when I do this position as well. It's hard. I can use my body up, but when I lift my hips, it makes it a lot easier for me to raise the leg. And I'm holding the leg here. I lift up. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my leg. I'm going to go here. So I take my leg. I bring it inside. So first it's over here. I use my knee. And now I hook behind the leg. And once I get here, all I'm going to do is stretch my leg. When I stretch my leg, I start putting pressure down. And look how my hand could slide perfectly in to the underhook position on the leg. Now that I have the underhook position on the leg, I like to make a sleeve grip on the leg here. Because if I'm holding like this, it's not as much control. When I have the sleeve grip, I can lift up his leg. I can literally use this grip and lift up his leg to get, and then I like to feed his foot to my bicep elbow position right here. So now I have control of his whole hip. I'm keeping my hip hooked right now here to control the distance. So now I can bring his body this way. I can pummel my foot inside. I'm hooking his knee. I switch my feet. Now I'm in the baby bowl position. I simply bring his butt to my stomach. I stretch his body. Now I end up in the back. Fist on the chest. Arm over the one underhooking on top. One hook. Head to head. Other hook. Again. We're here. De La Riva position. I switch. I go here. He comes on top. I break the grip. I can't get his leg off. I can't get his weight off the forward leg. He's heavy. I underhook. I start trying to turn his foot in. He opens his foot. Notice how every time his foot's open, his weight's on the back leg. When his foot's in, his weight's on the front leg. Just something for you to pay attention to when you're here. If you feel his weight's forward, you're going to be always able to bring his foot this way because his feet are facing this way. He can't really keep weight on the forward leg and his foot that way. Okay? So he opened his leg, which means that his weight's on the back leg. I couldn't turn his foot in, so I'm not going to go against him. I'm going to go with whatever he's giving me. So I lift, using my knee and my hips. Now his foot's this way, so all I'm going to do is hook. I stretch, now I underhook. It falls right into my arm here. The underhook falls right into my arm. I get the sleeve grip, and notice how my foot is hooking. And I can also push away if I need to. You see, so I can push and I can pull. So I'm able to control him here. I'm able to keep him away or close to me with this foot. Always use, like just like before when I was standing here, if my foot was here in X guard, he could come to my head. He could go to my head and back step. But when I'm here, he can't come close to my head because this foot's keeping distance. So that's why when I'm playing this position, I like to keep my foot on this hip to keep him forward and away. And when I'm ready to finish the position, pummeling this leg in, that's when I move my foot to the other leg, because now I'm controlling the other leg. But when I'm here and I pummel my leg in, I try to close his knee. What he does whenever I try to close his knee, he opens his knee. When he opens his knee, that's when I can put my foot in. So if he doesn't open his knee when I'm here, I can take the back here, no problem, like this. But everyone, when you start closing their knee, they're going to open their knee. Now that he opened his knee, I can pummel my hook in. So if you try to do this and his knee's closed, it's going to feel awkward to put my hook in. So you try to close using the underhook, and he opens. Now I can pummel my foot in. Does that make sense? So every time I'm here and I try to close, he opens. Now when he opens, I lift up his hip with this foot. That helps me pummel my leg in. So if you're drilling this and you feel like it's awkward to put the leg in, that means you could close the knee. So if you feel like, oh, this is awkward, you could always close the knee here. And now I can take the back even with him out like this. Okay, so focus on his knee here. I try to close, he opens. Now I can put my foot in. And when I put my foot in, I push, he comes forward. Now I can take the back. Here, I can stretch, and I can take the back. Always going with his reaction. And if it feels awkward, that means his weight is different. So you do another thing to beat another thing. Okay, so we're here. For the belly hiva, we're here. We go for the ankle lock, he drives, he comes on top. I break this grip, I hold the leg, I try to go to the leg hug to face his feet in. He opens his feet, which means his weight's on the back leg. So all I do is I push, I use my knee, I lift my hips, I pummel, I get my leg in. I underhook the leg, I keep my foot on the hip, I lift up his body, I get the butt grip. Now that I have the butt grip, all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to close his knee, and he's going to open his knee. Now I have the perfect space to lift his leg with my foot here. I even could bring my leg in a little more to get my shin on his leg. Sometimes I like to do. So now I have a little more space. Like notice this hole I have here to put my leg in. When his knees closed, he closed the hole. So that's why when his knees open, I have so much more space to pummel my leg in. And now I can take my foot to the other hip. Now that my foot's on the other hip, I can stretch his body and I can take his back here. Okay, so I'm going to show you in real speed now. Here he comes up. Here I break the grip. I'm here. I try to close his foot. He opens. See, if he goes here, I can go. I can close his knee. No problem. He opens his knee. So now his weight's on the back leg. So now I'm here. I lift up my hips. Boom. Pummel under. I make the distance, putting my shin here, closing the knee. He opens his knee. Boom. Now I'm here. I go here, he opens. So now I'm here. Beat down his knee, I close, he opens. We get here, I stretch. Notice, guys, also when I'm closing his knee, just look how I point my knee in to put pressure on his knee down. If I was to hammer like this, it's a little harder to close his knee, so I like to point my knee toward his knee joint here to put a little more pressure to bend his knee more. You see, so if I'm like this, it's a little harder to bend his knee here, but when I turn my knee in, I can put more pressure. So if I put my feet toward his hip like this, it's a little easier for me to beat down his knee. Just an extra detail here. So here he opens. Stretch the back here and here. So I try to close his knee, opens. With the previous position. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to start with the ankle lock and the bottom. I'm going to need double pull. I'm going to get belly hiva. I'm going to get the grip. I'm going to get the ankle lock, and he's going to come up with the leg drive. Coming on top. Now I'm going to punch his shoulder. I'm going to get my belly hiva hook on his shoulder. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to break the grip. But this time again, I'm not able to take his foot off the floor. So, because I can't take his foot off the floor, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make a grip on his pants, I'm going to move my butt out, and I'm going to underhook his leg. Back into the leg hug series again. So, every time I'm underhooking a leg, I call this leg hug, because I'm hugging the leg, like with my body. That's why I call it leg hug. So, when I hug the leg this time, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna feel like I can't take his leg off the floor. I'm gonna feel like I can't hook my foot in. So I'm gonna take my bottom hook out. I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna put it here. Now when I do this, I'm gonna move my body. I'm gonna push his leg down to the other side of my body. I'm gonna put my foot in here. So it's pretty much the opposite of the leg hug. When we go leg hug before, we were like this. For this one, we're hooking with our other foot here. And again, if his leg's up here, I can't hook his knee. So what do I have to do? I have to bring his knee below my body so I can hook his knee. Now, we're gonna end up here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the hip, I'm gonna push down his knee, I'm gonna grab the pants here, and I'm gonna pull his leg to me here. So now when I get here, guys, I'm gonna sit up, and because my leg isn't in the inside, let's move this way, drop. Because my leg isn't in the inside, what I can do is I can lock a triangle here to support this position. Before, when my leg, lift up your leg, before when my leg was in the inside, if I lock a triangle, he can attack the toe hold or knee bar on me. Because my foot's on the inside of his legs. So whenever my leg is on the inside of his legs, my leg is in trouble. But because my leg is on the outside of his body, he has no attack on this foot. It's really far for him to reach. I wouldn't say there's no attack, but it's far for him to reach. So it's easier for me to keep my feet away from him, so I can lock a triangle. And now I can hug his body, and I use the triangle, and I push his foot to his butt. By hugging, squeeze, and all his weight's on his knee right now, so I can use my hip to put his foot to his butt, squeezing with my arms to move his butt to his foot, and then I can apply pressure to finish the position. So all these positions are interlocked, like connected in some sorts of ways, and they're pretty much similar elements to all of them. But for this one, just the footwork in this position is a little different. So again, we're here. We have the ankle lock. We go for the ankle lock here. Nafta comes up. He's here. I push his shoulder. I hook his armpit here. So now I have a frame from him just passing my guard. Like here, I'm in trouble. He can start passing. So I keep my foot here, and I have a frame. I break this grip. I try to get the foot off the floor. I can't. So now I can underhook this leg. So now instead of keeping my foot on his hip here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my distance off. Now this could be dangerous and scary because I don't have a frame, so he can come into me and put pressure on me. But because I'm doing this very quickly, so I go here and I go here, I'm going to use my foot on this hip now as my frame. So this foot was originally on the hip. We're switching it over from here to foot here. Now I lift up his leg. Now when I lift up his leg, if he's going to come forward, because he's going to feel like, go back down. He's going to feel like I can attack his leg with a knee bar or a leg lock here. So he's going to put weight forward on this leg. So when he puts weight forward on this leg, that's when I use the motion to push down his knee. And again, I'm going to emphasize this again. If his leg is up here, I can't hook my foot, but I can start attacking knee bars. So if I can't hook his foot, I can't hook my knee on his leg unless I'm able to get his knee lower, okay? So we have to push down his knee for this position. If his leg's up, we do different attacks like the knee bar. We can go to 50-50, we can do various different attacks. So for this move, we push the leg down and I hook his leg. Now that I have the hook on his leg, notice how my elbow stays under his leg here. I could be holding, but I like to get my elbow underneath his leg. Why is that? So now if he's trying to go around me, this elbow keeps his leg from getting over me. So now I can push his knee to the floor. Once I have his knee to the floor, I'm going to push his body, and now I can sit up. Once I sit up, look how I step on the floor to move my butt away from him. This is what helps me grab his hip, lock my hands, and now for the finish, I could roll, I can do various things, but for this one, I prefer to have both knees on the mat, because he's stuck here. It really makes him stuck once I control both hips. I can lock the triangle, and I can squeeze to finish the submission. So we're here, I have the Bella Hiva, I go here, I go ankle lock, he comes up. We're here. I punch his shoulder. I get my Della Hiva on his shoulder here. So this keeps him framed from this arm. Now I can break this grip. I try to take his body off the floor, but his weight's too heavy on this leg. So I'm not able to take it off. So now we're going to switch to our underhook series. We underhook, and now we're in the leg hug series. But this time, instead of leg hug, where every time I'm in leg hug, I have an underhook and my foot's on the hip. Instead of this, we're gonna replace our foot to this hip here. Now that my foot replaced to this hip, I'm gonna lift up his leg, I'm gonna move it to my other hip, and I'm gonna put my foot below his leg here. So now his leg is here. I'm gonna grab the butt grip here, just like before when I had the leg hug. With the leg hug, I was doing the same thing, hooking the leg and the butt grip. Now I'm gonna control the far leg. I'm gonna control his thigh with my leg. I'm gonna push his knees to the floor. I'm gonna sit up. I'm gonna lock a triangle so I can have extra support. When I lock the triangle, guys, I try to focus on putting my knee toward his thigh. This helps me add extra pressure on his leg. So this knee, I'm pointing in toward his thigh to help me put pressure on the foot. And I'm hugging. I'm gonna lock my hands and I'm gonna squeeze to finish this position. So we're here, we're in the hiva, at the collar, I pummel the foot, I start checking the ankle up. He comes up, I get the deli heave on his arm, I break this grip. I try to take his body off his forward leg, I can't. So I grab the leg, I move my butt away, I underhook. So I start pulling, I start going to this position for the underhook. Now, how I move this foot off, the footwork I like to do is I like to take this foot, push it on the hip, and take my foot off. So I'm here, I put my foot on the hip, I take my foot off. Now I start pushing his leg down to hook his knee. The second his knee gets lower than my belt is when I can start hooking his knee and getting my foot in. Before that, I can't hook his knee here. So I push down the leg to hook his knee. Now I can cup the leg, I can get a grip here, or I can cup the knee to get to this position, the grip here. Once I get to here, now I have the position here. The foot could be on either side. It doesn't really matter for this position, but if it's here, it's a lot stronger because I have more pressure with the foot to the butt. I move my body, I sit up, I hug his body here. Now it's a very tight position here. And notice how I'm using my knee facing in. Once his butt's to me, I don't necessarily have to keep locking because his butt has to come closer, so I could use it initially to help put pressure, then I can open my leg, and then I can turn my hip in to squeeze to get the submission here. Again, we're here, hiva, ankle lock, I go here. He comes on top. I make a frame, I get the hook on his shoulder. I break the grip, I get the grip on below his knee. I feel like I can't take his foot off the floor. I underhook the leg, I turn in, I start going for the leg hug. This time I switch my foot to his hip, so I replace my foot where it is with the other foot. I take my other foot, I place it now on the hip. Once I do this, I take both hands and I push the leg down. And notice how this foot keeps him away from me. So now I can hook. Once I hook, I push the foot down, I grab the butt grip. I hold the leg, I push, I connect my hand to his knee. Now here I can lock a triangle. Just be wary of the toe hold. It's on the outside, so I'm a lot safer than if it was on the inside, of course. Now I can sit up. I can even, if I feel like his leg's far, I can sit up like this to hug his body. I can feed my hands. Now I have the submission here. Let's go again. Here, hiva. Here, ankle lock, you come on top. I make the deli hiva hook, I break the grip. His foot's on the floor, I can't move it. I underhook, I move my hip, I put my foot on his hip. I replace my forward foot with this foot. That's very important. Now I can lift my hips. I put my foot here. Now I can push down his leg and hook it here. Once I get here, I get the butt grip, I get the leg, I get the thigh grip. Now I have a lot of control of his hip here. I can lock a triangle for extra support, or I can leave it here to help me sit up. I can push his body, I come up, I go here, I lock the triangle again, I finish the position. Just be very careful when you're drilling this move. Like, it's a very powerful submission when you drill this move, so be careful. Hiva, ankle lock, he comes up, we get the double hiva, break the grip, move our body, we underhook, I start going into the leg hug series, push the leg, I go here. I push down his leg, I hook, I get the butt grip. Now I grab the leg, I hook, I get to this spot here. I put the foot to the butt and I finish the position. Here. Guys, very important how I'm always keeping a form of distance here. Remember how I said if I'm an X guard here, he can backstep me and go toward my head here. So always, even when I leave this leg hug foot off his hip, I'm keeping my other foot here as a form of distance so he can't get to my head. So it's very important here how I keep this foot away from me. So now even if he's trying to get to my head, I'm safe enough to get time to get my other foot here. So now I have both feet keeping distance away from me. Just like another extra detail there, just to make sure that you know they keep the distance so the person doesn't put weight on you here. Now I can go here. With the position. Boom. Here. Guys, we're going to go back to the same position from the knee bar position. This time I'm going for the calf slicer and I'm going to take out the leg and I'm going to start working like a leg drag from this position that I like to use a lot. I used it in Nogi World in a match, so I'm going to go here and do double pull, opponent, and then get the Del Hiva. We're going to go to the ankle lock, he's going to come on top. He's going to get here, I'm going to hook his armpit, I'm going to move his body, I'm going to break this grip. I'm going to go to the underhook leg hug, but again we're going to switch our feet from this foot to the other hip. Now I'm going to put my other foot on his hip here. Now I'm going to take his foot off the floor. I'm going to move his foot to this hip, and I'm going to move my body to the other hip. So now I'm in the calf slicer position. But for this finish now, I'm going to push his body up to sit up to go calf slicer. But instead of going to the calf slicer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the leg, and I'm going to either take the back here, or go back up. Or when I'm here, he's going to fall down, and I'm going to end up in a leg drag here. And how I like to finish this leg drag, because I already have my arms on his body, I'm going to hug his body, I'm going to use my shoulder here, and now he's going to push this shoulder. So he pushes his shoulder, I'm going to use my other arm on his body to finish this path here. So again, we're here, just start staying. Here, I'm in the ankle lock position here. We're here. I switch my hand to the underhook. I put my foot on the hip. I take my other foot to the other hip. Now I'm gonna push his leg to the other side and hook. So before I was doing the calf slicer, this time I don't want to do the calf slicer. And notice how I keep this foot keeping distance from him coming on top of me. I'm gonna push his body, I'm gonna control the leg, now I'm gonna sit up. After I sit up, I'm gonna hug his body to get this arm around his hip. So when I get this arm around his hip, I have control of his hip now. So I'm gonna hug his body, I'm gonna take out his foot, and I'm either gonna take the back here, if I'm able to keep this hip up, coming up here to the seatbelt, or he's gonna fall down. So when he falls down, I'm gonna keep my shoulder putting pressure on him. Now I'm gonna go to the other side and pass this by. Usually what happens though is when I have this grip and I start passing here, they're not gonna wanna give the pass, so they're gonna keep turning the floor. And now I can take the back here. I take the back. But this leg drag, back take scramble, it's gonna depend on how they react. So I start here. So the ankle lock, drag, come up. I get the Del Hiva, hold that great to grip. I unhook, I go to the leg hug. I switch my feet from here to here. I push the leg down, I hook, and I push the foot. I get the butt grip, notice how this foot keeping him away. I sit up, I hug the body. I get my hand deep on the body. I go for the calf slicer. If I feel like he's already falling this way, I can clear. I can go leg drag here. If he stays more up, I can start going for his neck, for the back. Okay, so real speed. Here. Ankle lock, drags, comes up. The grip, I underhook. I go here, I switch my feet. I keep distance, keeping both feet away. Push. I get his knee lower so I can hook. I get the butt grip, I push, I sit up. I put my body on his hip. I connect my hands. I can finish the calf slicer. If I don't want to, I hook. I go leg drag. Or I can keep this back here.